This episode was recorded in May 2023 when I just finished setting up the studio. It is a broad exploration in crypto, VR, and AI. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have your whole net worth invested in crypto? YK Goon from a previous EOA episode shares his insights around this. This conversation took part during the centralized exchange crisis. We discuss YK's portfolio and how it was affected from the Luna blowup to FTX. We discuss why he's 100% invested in crypto, the bottlenecks for mass adoption, his most successful investments, and how he avoids post-investment regret. In part 2, YK is really excited about VR. This was sometime early last year when it was a little bit more contrarian. However, with this year's launch of Meta's new AR glasses, perhaps VR might hold some more promise. I know they're different technologies, but Meta seems to be surprising us. Lastly, we discuss AI and how YK is using the new technologies in software development as CTO of Kakitangan, an HR SaaS software. If you are interested in crypto, VR, and AI, definitely take a listen. Let's dive right in. Let's record. Okay. So, but then, last time we spoke was probably more than a year ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago. I was reviewing our notes of what we last talked about. We talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of personal stuff, a lot of non-mainstream stuff, like, your ideas on masculinity and strength, personal stuff like, how life was tough. We talked about flow. We talked about, what else? Following your curiosity.
Very topical still.
Yeah. We talked a lot of different topical, personal stuff, which was, because I think I was still trying to find out the format and stuff. I still haven't really mastered, I'd say. Yeah. But then, we talked about some of your work too, software engineering, how you thought it was more of a garden.
Yeah.
You were doing a lot of crypto trading back then.
I'm still active in crypto.
Okay.
Never been trading too actively, but I keep my eyes on it.
Okay. So
every day.
In what kind of sense? Because just for the audience who doesn't know, you're a software engineer or developer, or I don't know how you would call yourself. So is it from the perspectives of building infrastructure, investing, or also trading, as in just speculating?
Yeah, I approach it as an investor mostly.
Okay.
I do a bit of what do you call yield farming.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit?
Essentially, you put money into crypto protocols and put it to work, making your capital work for you.
Okay, and how does the mechanics of that actually work?
Pretty much a bank that you run yourself.
Okay.
So by doing that, I have no experience in finance. I don't know what a bank does.
Yeah.
By doing this, I now have. I got some inkling of what the professionals do, behind the desk. So putting your so when you put your money into banks, they may lend it to people, they may buy instruments.
Yeah.
And essentially, decentralized finance allows you to do the same.
Okay, so let's break it down. Can you give me an example? So you've converted your fiat into, these days, are you using, what's that called? It's like the wallet. MetaMask? Are you using like MetaMask? Are you off the centralized exchanges?
I do all that.
You do all that? Which one more wallet or more centralized exchange?
I do both. You kind of need both.
Okay.
So the process may look like this for people who've never done this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not involved in this. Just very loosely. I talk to a lot of crypto people, but yeah.
Okay. So my experience is my workflow looks like your capital starts as ringgit. So you try to turn your ringgit into a crypto. So in my workflow, I would turn it into XRP first.
What is XRP?
XRP is a currency it's called, what do they call it? Ripple. It's called Ripple.
Ripple, okay.
So by Ripple, I would send it to...
Ripple's a cryptocurrency.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I would then send it to a centralized exchange.
Okay.
Usually Binance, could be others.
Mm-hmm.
From Binance, then I would turn that into a stable coin,
mm-hmm.
which could be USDT or USDC, etc.
Yeah.
So that becomes my capital, which I then turn it into something else.
Okay.
So then from there, I may then send it out of a centralized exchange and then into a network like Ethereum, into a network like, say, Arbitrum or any other network.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And would you say the majority of your net worth is in crypto now?
I would think so, yes.
Well, okay, so you're like, are you a maxi?
I don't think I'm maxing anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then you've converted most of your fiat into crypto, or at least a big portion of it, and then you're kind of managing it through. So when you start diversifying, right? So now you put it into a centralized exchange, and then you've converted it to other types of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Is it still sitting with the exchange for the majority of it?
You try not to.
Try not to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but sometimes you have to because you don't want to do too many transactions.
Yeah.
For cost reasons.
Okay.
So safe to say, a large portion sits outside of a centralized exchange.
Okay.
So most of them are in protocols, in networks, in the decentralized ways.
Okay. So they're actually
in my
sitting,
control.
Okay, in your control. So it's not even sitting in a wallet or anything like that. It's mostly spread out in other protocols that are not tied to like the systemic risk of centralized exchanges.
Correct.
And so you actually, a lot has happened actually since we last talked with crypto, right? Probably the world's changed 10 times over probably. You went through maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago with the SBF, the whole scandal. How did you make out with that? Like what happened in your world? Were you heavily trading or investing? Were you in the right exchanges? Did you get hit?
I felt somewhat lucky about FTX.
Okay.
I didn't feel so lucky with the Luna nonsense.
Oh,
but
okay.
let's talk about FTX first.
Sure.
I did not get burned. Almost.
Okay.
It was so I did not touch FTX at all.
Okay. Oh, you got lucky, but because their exposure was really wide, right?
Exactly.
They were like the 3rd or 4th largest in the world, or something, or even it was big, right?
Yep. So for some reason, I find the whole FTX ecosystem. What's the word? Dubious.
Okay.
Somehow. So I felt no temptation to do business with them.
Well, so can you pull on that thread a little bit more though? Like, how could you feel it's dubious?
I can't say exactly why, but okay. when I see an icon, that everybody celebrates, I just feel skeptical.
I think that's you by nature, though, right? I think.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Because if people want a reference of your profile and kind of how you are, we talked about it in the last episode we did, right?
Yeah.
So I think by nature, also maybe a part of your, maybe you kind of built this kind of skill set of inherent anti-fragility.
Okay.
Maybe it's intuitive at this point, right? But it's maybe this collective experience or your mindset that frames or your decision choices kind of maybe helped you define that.
I hope you're right.
Again, well, at least for FTX, right? So that helps you in that respect.
Yep.
Okay.
But I got burned anyway.
Okay.
Because their footprint is so large.
Yeah.
I had some asset, not a whole lot, but some asset in an exchange not related to them.
Okay.
But eventually, I don't know, a few years ago, was bought over by FTX.
Okay, and you didn't know.
I did.
Oh, you didn't know. Okay, but you didn't.
I did know. I did know, but it's like I thought, fine.
Yeah.
Keep my stuff there.
Small percentage of your portfolio.
Small percentage.
Okay.
Did not hurt me very much.
Yeah.
But technically, even now, the assets are still there. It's just locked.
Okay.
I couldn't take it out
because it's. What is going on exactly? Is it like getting litigated in the
something like that?
Because it's so weird though because it's decentralized. So like how can?
So in this case, it's not centralized.
Okay.
It's a centralized exchange.
Oh, so the exchange can be litigated and assets under it can be.
Yep. In this case, I believe it's a Japanese entity.
Okay.
Japanese legal entity. So it's probably in the going through some kind of legal process. Bankruptcy process, maybe.
Do you know how that would work for cryptocurrencies? Is there like different types of debt, subordinated debt, Like, do people get priority? Does it follow like fiat rules? You think?
Probably. Even if it is, I don't know it very well.
Okay.
So,
well, we just hope then your money comes out somehow.
I'm slightly hopeful.
Yeah.
Compared to other entities who got it way worse.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true.
So that was that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So FTX did eventually hit you a bit.
And Luna, that hit me hard.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's one. There's a related thing called Anchor Protocol.
Okay.
So I had some USDs there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a total loss.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
And that was because Luna was deeply tied into FTX. That's why.
That you could say, it has nothing to do with each other.
Oh, okay.
So Luna itself is a separate network.
Yeah.
So effectively, the token price crashed to the point where it affected a protocol which gives yield.
Okay. So basically, you put your money there, and then people can borrow money, and then
I believe so, something like that.
And then that's how you get yield.
Yeah, they pay you high interest.
Yeah.
I guess I cannot explain how the physics work, but because it's the whole network was backed by this Luna token, and the price crash, everything just falls down with it.
Why did Luna crash? The token specifically?
I can't explain it, but it looked like some kind of mob terror going on.
Yeah, like a bank run essentially.
Yeah.
But then don't you want to explain it because this affects your future investing, where you put money, doesn't your thinking around crypto and the risks and how to manage the risks?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say bank run is the best explanation so far.
Okay. That was after FTX, right?
No, that was before FTX.
So Luna was first. Oh, that was a while ago then. Yeah. Mixing my timelines up.
Probably half a year before.
Okay, that was a time when there was a lot of other things in the headline, like Ronin Network was getting hacked, right? And then, I remember Luna was the big one, but then there was no contagion from that until, I guess you could say, 6 months later with FTX.
There was contagion. It followed about 2-3 months afterwards.
Yeah, but then people forgot really fast though, right? Right. So like prices dipped a bit overall across the board for most of the major cryptocurrencies, but then it still was not like anywhere towards a historical low, right?
Yeah. So funny thing is with Luna, there was an icon.
Yeah. Who was it?
So, his name is Do Kwon.
Do Kwon, yeah. Okay, so Do Kwon's the Luna guy.
Yep.
He's.
So I should have been cautious about that.
Okay.
But I did not pay attention. I was kind of blindsided with the yield.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
greed?
That was greed. Yeah.
Greed.
Yeah.
The typical causes. Yeah.
Put it this way: greed plus social validation.
What was the social validation element that
it was so this mechanism where you put the name is Anchor Protocol.
Okay.
It was widely accepted.
Okay.
Pretty much no one was suspicious of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. There were a handful of skeptics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't pay attention there. Good thing is I put in money once.
Yeah.
It's a healthy amount. But I didn't put more.
Yeah, that's good.
As best I can hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, how did that change your thinking or your investment framework or your thesis? Like, do you manage risk better because of this? Or when you look out for new opportunities, what are you assessing?
There has been some change, but it's not related to that experience. I can't say. Okay, overall, I am a little bit more cautious.
Okay.
In looking at where they generate the yield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the saying is, if you don't know where they get the yield, you are the yield. That's the saying.
It's like a Ponzi scheme, sort of, right?
Yeah.
And just if there's a lot of hype, then they just keep getting money in. They pay back the early guys, right?
Right.
So then what's the best case of strong, healthy yield, real tangible value in today's market for crypto?
They tend to. It's preferable if they pay the yield in real currency, as in they pay you in USD, rather than a coin they mint themselves.
So isn't this just like a very strong crossover back to fiat? Like it's almost like currencies pegged to like another currency, right?
As in they may pay you, say I put in, I stake something.
Yeah.
And you pay me in Ether, in ETH.
Okay.
That's preferable to you pay me in some coin you made up.
Okay, so like at least a well-known coin with a lot of liquidity.
Yeah.
With a lot of like ties to maybe institutional money, or because how are you tying back to credibility? Ultimately, it goes back to fiat again, right? Like, or at least belief in those more stable coins.
It may or may not involve fiat, but as long as you get back something, respectable. It could be USDC, or if you don't like fiat, it could be ETH.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
So that's in crypto speak, that's what they call real yield.
Real yield.
Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to reward yield, which they give you something dubious.
Like, for example,
some coin they made up.
Okay.
Yeah, which may appreciate.
Well, for example, in the case of FTX, it was their coin, right?
Exactly that.
But it seems, like if for their scale and how much money, if money was not misappropriated, there was enough. Like if treasury was managed properly, wouldn't the coin be considered?
It could. It was in what time, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know.
So that's what I'm kind of trying to question, the premise of like what makes a good, safe cryptocurrency to be paid in ultimately. Because it sounds like it ties back to the same thing, which is very nebulous.
Yeah. So, if the question is what are the blue chips?
Yeah, correct.
Then I think you can't go wrong with Bitcoin and Ether.
Okay.
The top two.
Yeah.
At this point, it's pretty much that.
Yeah, and I guess the money that's put in has not like the price has not dropped below like the guys who are like staying forever, right? So I guess that's why it almost transformed to fiat in itself, right? To trust in that is the belief in those coins itself too, no? Yeah.
Another framework, another mental model you may use would be: would these things still exist in 20 years, in 50 years, in 100 years?
Yeah.
Chances are they do.
Yeah.
Value is another story.
Yeah.
But they.
You mean like the price essentially?
Yeah. I mean, price is relative, right?
Yeah, correct.
We cannot say American dollars will still continue to exist in 50 years. We don't know.
Yeah.
But Ether is quite a good chance. It still does.
Well, it's gauging probabilities, right? I guess.
Well, no. If I run a node today, right now here, I run an Ethereum node.
Yeah.
It runs. It's accepted as part of the network.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing for 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years from now, it still does exist.
Okay, so then, but for the case of regular fiat, like the U.S., the U.S. Dollar, that tends to be more on probabilities of whether the institutions that we know today are maintained or grow or or degrade.
Yeah.
50 years, U.S. will still be around. Not a question of value or influence. It's a different one, right?
Yep.
So, but I think from a technical perspective, you can say, assuming human race does not get wiped out, then yes, the Ethereum will be here, right?
Yeah.
So that's a fact.
Yes.
More tangible, I guess. So I guess that's what you find more solace in, more safety? You feel better with these types of cryptocurrencies, that it's more given, more tangible?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. So with human institution, we don't know.
They change.
So yeah. So it's.
So, but then what's the bottleneck of, like, I mean, it's like almost mathematically given, assuming technology doesn't get wiped out or humans go away. What's the bottleneck of more mass adoption then?
Bottleneck to mass adoption.
Right, because it's a given, it's a truth, like you're saying. The institutions of humans and groups and powers may change, but as long as that baseline technology exists, you're going to have it, whether everything else changes around it. So
yeah.
I mean, the only thing given is your maybe your access to it. That's it. Like you lose the key phrase or whatever.
Adoption is a big topic.
Yeah.
In cryptosphere, and mostly boils down to user experience. It sucks. Mm-hmm. It sucks. There's so much hoop to jump through. It's like, so I don't know. You have. It's almost like you have to be really determined to do this. Yeah. In order to be even willing to get started.
Yeah.
So I can understand.
Yeah. So then, what's your time frame then? Because ultimately you want your wealth to grow from this, right?
Yeah.
So then, how do you think of it in terms of the next decade, 20 years, 30 years? Like, how does this kind of unfold? And then how are you kind of playing along these changes?
I don't know. That's a large question. Don't even. What I'm sure of is these things will stick around. Okay. At least the blue chips will stick around. They will still exist, but narrative changes from quarter to quarter. Mm-hmm. So yeah. The next year we might be trading to different narratives. Yeah. Or we definitely will. Yeah. So long term, it's about you may maybe your question is about personal finance, which might or might not involve crypto. Mm-hmm. So a person in his 30 manage his finance very differently from a person who's 55. True. So pretty much is that. So when I at the right time, in the right amount of wealth, I'm gonna de-escalate. What's the right word? I'm gonna de-risk. I'm gonna de-risk and do less risky stuff.
What is risky? Are you saying like yield farming is risky?
It can be. Yes. Yeah. It can be. So right now, I would say my risk profile, the way I construct my portfolio, would be ideally speaking, something like 30% risky, 30% non-risky, and everything else in the middle. Okay. Yeah. Ideally, I would. It's not at this stage. Yeah. But if ideally that would be the case. So when I'm in a safe zone, I feel okay financially. I'm secure. It's not gonna be that configuration anymore. Yeah. It's gonna be maybe 40% in the low risk, and 20% high risk, something like that.
But all within crypto still.
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question, because that I can still manage my money and make and use them to make more yield. Yeah. Otherwise, it needs to go to hedge funds. It needs to go to some
index
schemes.
Funds or
just saying some vehicle, some TradFi vehicle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
May still happen. But.
Does your choice of putting majority of net worth into crypto also tie to you being Malaysian?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think so. Because access is a big deal.
So in theory, you could move anywhere in the world and still manage your wealth and grow your wealth.
With crypto, yes.
With crypto, yes, correct. Yeah. Unless, is it possible for a country to ban crypto? But like, it's not possible because you'd have to ban access to internet, right?
Usually, okay, yes. Well, so yes and no. When they say ban crypto,
it's just illegal, right?
Typically, what it means is from crypto asset to a fiat asset.
Okay, so the off ramp.
Yeah. So the off ramp process is usually where this manifests.
Okay, and they'll say you cannot.
Yeah. So you, as in you have no way. You move to, say, I don't know, name a country, Cambodia. So you may go there. You have a lot of Bitcoin, but there's no way to turn that into Cambodian currency.
Yeah.
So you cannot buy a coffee. So therefore, Bitcoin is meaningless.
Yeah.
You have internet. It all works, but you can't buy a coffee.
In countries where crypto would be banned, you wouldn't be able to off ramp to real world goods, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, for example, in this case of Cambodia, there's no way to pay things, or you would have to probably off ramp in another country and send money to Cambodia to try traditional finance way.
Or you may off ramp P2P. You know, talk to a guy who is willing to take your Bitcoin
and then give you fiat in real time.
Yeah.
Whether that be cash or a bank account or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah, sounds okay. So it sounds like, it's a pretty interesting thesis. Because it does seem like we're at a place in time in the world where there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of change and transition, big wealth gaps, wars, very weird political dynamics in the West, right? So very which I think points to underlying problems that we're not really addressing, right? And I guess in the face of that, which I don't know, are people talking about this? Like crypto is a good answer to that? Like it's just a very sure solution to protect wealth?
Yes, on the idealistic side of the convos.
Are there any flaws to that thinking? Like what's the downside? Where do you get messed up in this kind of equation, in this world of change and volatility?
To the question of are there downsides?
Yeah,
I think there is. It carries all the weaknesses of capitalism. You may say the rich get richer. Continue to get
But it's only a function of lack of adoption, no? Or is it the nature of the economics of how crypto mining works and acquiring crypto? What do you mean by the rich get richer?
See, this is all about free market. So we because this whole crypto thing it's all free market. It's as free as it gets, right?
Yeah, it's the ultimate decentralization, the ultimate libertarian idea. Like no one can stop your money, and you cannot, you can transact.
So eventually, it will come to a point where the rich do get richer, and
by hoarding the cryptocurrencies, or
perhaps, or the skilled ones continue to be more skillful, more knowledgeable.
In terms of acquiring more crypto?
Yeah. So there may be no entity to enforce asset redistribution. So you may come to a point where the rich continues to be rich.
And that only matters when there's more mass adoption, because then there's more optionality to use crypto and how you want it. And they're the ones and the rich or the people who are hoarding the crypto have the supply to do so. Because I'm not too sure the mechanisms of how that progresses and that you end up in that state.
Yeah. I won't formulate my thoughts too concretely on this.
Yeah.
But I don't think of this in terms of crypto or not. It's essentially.
It's true. I would agree with that.
You may equate this to a state of anarchy. a state of anarchy. There's no real government to collect tax, to redistribute wealth, all that. Then what's the logical conclusion of that? Project it forward.
Yeah, that's why I don't. I personally, I mean, I haven't thought about it that deeply either, but I personally feel that it's very hard to get to that state because you have such inherently strong institutions where you kind of need to coexist. Right? This is going to be a very viable alternative as a currency. I don't know how they work together. That's the current probably problem, right? How does it get integrated? And ideally, you would like to replicate your current institutions on the blockchain, like the U.S. government on the blockchain, so then they can enforce some type of taxation, right? Like your citizenship is tied to this. I don't know. Because it's very hard because once you cross into the physical world, you're talking about physical power.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And you can't deny that.
Yeah.
So if you could be the richest person in the world, maybe you're worth 500 billion USD worth of crypto, but if they just kill you, that doesn't matter ultimately. Yeah. So there's that intersect that always, to me, is very real. You can escape, and that needs to be resolved. I don't know how it gets resolved. I think it coexists together. I think crypto is another asset class, but also potentially with more wider technological uses. And that I don't know how that turns out. But I do think it's just not going to, it's not one or the other. It's not like maxi to, like how some people believe it's going to get rid of like all these institutions. If that is the case, then wow, that's a scary world.
Well, I was addressing this in a crypto only scenario.
Yeah. Okay.
When there's conventional government mixed in, I think that's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit too complicated to say how it end up.
But that probably explains why there's not more mass adoption then, right? Because it is this niche and this powerful niche. It hasn't found a way to adopt a more broader base into that mix. So therefore, there's no reason for me to, join this movement, right?
You brought up mass adoption. I think maybe it's worth going deeper, try to unpack what that means.
Yeah.
So mass adoption, it could mean, in my case, if you do what I do, you would manage your finance in DeFi, so in decentralized finance, right? Other people hears mass adoption, they may think using it to buy coffee.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I see your point.
I think that ship has sailed.
Oh, you think so? You think that could never, not gonna manifest ever, or
okay, it may happen at some point. At this point, it's not realistic.
Yeah, in the short term.
Yeah,
next decade or so.
So, some of the people may think I'm gonna use it to collect art. I'm gonna buy NFTs. Okay, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So, and you may argue that adoption there is quite massive the past year or two. So,
NFTs?
Yeah.
Haven't they gone off the?
Okay, not mass, but quite large.
Before FTX, it was just like that's where all this money and interest was piling into. But the volumes in OpenSea have dropped significantly. But but in general, I see your point. Right. Yeah.
And then folks who play games, right?
Yeah, GameFi is huge.
Yeah. So mass adoptions, I think, means different things to different people.
That's fair.
And even different domains.
Yeah.
So, So it depends on which angle you want to tackle.
Yeah, that's fair. In your case, what is your definition?
Depends on what you want to achieve with it. So in my case, it's managing your own finance. Yeah, that's tough because I don't expect regular folks to do it themselves.
Yeah. And at the same time, mass adoption for you would be very fluid on-ramp, off-ramp ability probably. Right? Because otherwise it's not very useful then. So it can't be widely adopted. So it does seem there would be some need of regulation in your world because ultimately you still need to buy your coffee and your food.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, on-ramp it's fine now at least in Malaysia. It's doable. There's a few exchanges you can use.
Yeah.
Before that, I do P2P.
Okay.
It was costly. I don't recommend.
Can you break down that cost and why is it costly? And what is P2P? Give me an example, for example.
So you ask around, you go to forums, you go to chat groups.
Okay.
Hey, I got this.
I got this ringgit, or
I got this amount of ringgit.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to sell me a Bitcoin?
Okay.
So we meet somewhere. Yeah, and then we change hands.
Meet where?
It could be. Well, I met some guy in a petrol station before.
Sounds so dodgy.
Right.
Oh my
Except
God.
for the fact that he owns a petrol station.
Oh, okay.
I was in his office. So I was like, okay.
He was probably mining out of there too.
And I'd be like, okay. He was asking me, do you use Etherscan? Oh, okay, sure. He sent me his. What did he send me? He sent me his USDT. Yeah.
Okay.
That's, and then we check in real time. I said, has it arrived? Okay, arrived. I can leave.
Oh my God.
Okay, here's my cash. There you go.
Wow. Okay, I could see. Yeah, okay, so it's costly because the frictions are high that's the whole point of the integration into the other, like the fiat world, the institutions that we currently have, where trust has been manufactured in a different way, where trust is not a given on a technological basis, right? So it's very blurry. Yeah, it's very blurry. So then how do you... So like you have risky and you have not so risky, then you have very safe.
Yeah.
So how do you set up your investment framework or your thesis, or how do you what looks like risky, what looks like in the middle, and what's safe? Safe is just, I guess, crypto sitting in a wallet in like a stable coin.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good question, because what is safe means different thing to different people.
Yeah.
So things you don't know means they're not safe. So what do I not know? Art.
Oh, so you're taking so you buying an NFT or something, or speculating NFT. Okay.
Exactly.
So that would be risky.
I don't know games.
GameFi. Have you invested in anything in games?
One item. That's about it.
Oh, so you bought an actual item.
Okay, no, sorry. One coin. One coin that's related to GameFi.
That could buy an item, maybe.
Yeah. So, I don't know financial mechanism. A lot of protocols do their, I don't know, financial magic. It's just magic to me. I could look at the code. I don't know what you're doing. So like perpetuals, options, that kind of thing. I don't know them well, right? So I could study them, but still, it's not my forte.
So then, so we're talking about the risky. So how do you get up to the edge of the abyss, right? Because you do your research, but you're at the edge. You can't go further. Well, what makes you jump over to the abyss then? Why?
No, I stick to things I know.
But you said you diversify into risky, right?
Yeah, I do. So, well, even risky is in the category. I prefer it in the category I know of.
Okay.
So what do I know? I know software.
Okay.
So, because I know software, I would pay attention to crypto assets that are infrastructural.
Okay.
So they would form, as in the value they provide would form infrastructures that other technologies ride on.
Okay.
Right. So in this sense, I know a little bit better, and I can, if the team members talk about this, I might have an inkling of what they say.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Now, doesn't mean they're safe. They're still risky because they haven't proven themselves.
Okay, so then what are your parameters to mitigate the risk? Like, what do you say is a green flag versus red flag?
I do have a framework. It's not on top of my mind now. Say if they are somewhat that the age matters. The age matters.
Okay,
of
so
course, the older, the safer it is.
So you're looking for more experienced guys.
No, the age of the project.
Oh, the age of the project. Okay, I was going to say people are they can manipulate. They're older. So the age of the project, which makes sense. Okay.
Another thing is I don't prefer projects where venture capitals are involved.
Too much hype, or what's the risk?
The incentives are not aligned. They're more likely to dump on us.
Pump and dump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So stay away from the VCs.
So So by that it means the project preferably would be something community built.
Okay.
Rather than a venture backed thing. What else?
How about centralized control? Because you need to make the project move along.
Yeah.
Is that important or is it not important?
I tend to be a bit more loose on that. Yeah.
Okay. So not important for you. Not as important. Okay.
Some people say community is a big factor. The quality of the community. Yeah. I want to agree.
Okay.
But I'm not good at judging it.
Okay.
So,
well, the most important factor has to be the value that it brings, right?
Yeah.
So how are you assessing the tangible value that the project brings? And maybe you can give us a few hard examples.
Okay, so that might manifest in a few metrics.
Okay.
So when the project is running, it may collect revenue, and that's something you can
see on chain, right?
Yeah. That's something you can read somewhere.
Yeah.
Or it may collect capital.
Yeah.
Which is total value locked. That's usually the metric, TVL.
Okay.
So it should be going up.
Okay.
So so these are the few financial metrics.
Yeah.
Some edgy metrics maybe.
Edgy metrics?
Developer adoption.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Sometimes I look at that.
Okay.
If the project is a bit too young, I want to know that say it's a network. It's what we call a level a level 1 network that competes with Ethereum.
Okay.
For example. So because it's very young, I don't expect there to be real money in there. So you look at TVL and it means nothing.
Yeah.
It's flat.
Because you're betting at a very early stage.
Yeah. So what do? I may look at the amount of people who intends to code here and intends to deploy their projects.
How do you see that?
In GitHub.
Okay.
In some other places may track that, but largely you would look at I think I pulled some tricks in GitHub and I'll search with some parameters.
Okay.
It will track there's some uptake in people who code in this.
Like requests and pull requests.
Something like
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that would tell me. So developer interest would directly affects how many applications get deployed.
Okay.
Yeah. So the more the better.
Is there a specific theme where you're seeing the most promise in your investment horizon in terms of these projects, protocols, or whatever you're calling them?
Theme.
Yeah, theme like it's like something specific in DeFi or a game or like I don't know like what like so for example what project have you maybe invested in that's taken off, for example, and what were they doing, like what value were they creating for what end user?
I can't speak to trend because the space is so noisy.
Okay.
It's very hard to draw. Like right now at this instance, meme coin seems to be a thing.
Meme coin.
Meme coin.
A meme coin.
Like Shiba, like Dogecoin, that kind of thing.
Really?
And they make up new coins now, like this totally useless.
Yeah.
But people like it. Yeah. And it pumps.
Yeah.
So the trend and narrative changes every quarter. I can't speak to trend. I can speak to what.
Yeah. What about what you've invested in that's taken off?
what invested that's taken off. There's a memorable one called Livepeer. I no longer hold it.
Okay.
I let it go once I'm happy enough with it.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. It doesn't form a trend though.
Yeah. So
what it does is it renders video, if you can believe it.
On chain.
In a decentralized way.
Interesting. So it's using like a peer-to-peer network to render the video. So for example, if I wanted to watch a video across a distributed network, it would allow me to view it on my device. But it's being pulled not from like a centralized server, or what does that mean?
Okay, I clearly don't know enough about this, but what exactly they do would be like they do that. You think of them as a rendering farm, but decentralized.
Okay.
So if I run a node here,
okay,
that do this, I would somehow get a chunk of some video.
Yeah, correct.
I render it.
Correct.
And I get back tokens.
Okay.
And this token is called Livepeer.
Okay.
LPT. Yeah. And it's worth something.
Well, I mean, like the far use, like say, like the perfected product of this would be YouTube on chain.
It is YouTube on chain,
right?
But consumers won't know about it.
Yeah, it's just another YouTube. Yeah.
So instead of YouTube rendering it, this network is rendering it.
Correct. Which
and
is
somehow, and somehow where it ends up, I don't know. It depends on who wants to use this service.
Well, it gets maintained on chain, right? And that chain gets copied to everywhere it's touching. I don't know.
I guess.
How to describe
it.
I guess.
So such things exist.
Okay, so how long was that time frame of you buying the coin? You bought, was it called Litecoin?
It's called Livepeer.
Livepeer. So yes, you bought Livepeer, the coin, right?
It was a period of holding it, and then by the time I sell it, probably 2 years.
2 years, okay. So
it was painful, man. It was so painful. I gave up hope on it,
and then it just took off.
Yeah.
Why?
So, market pumps, bull run, bull run came, everything goes up. Yeah.
But then, is it still being used? Is the volume high? Like, are people still trying to use video on this?
Apparently, it's doing well. Last I read of it.
Yeah, because I mean, like a pump is one thing, but overall trajectory of continued usage over time.
Yeah. I think there is. I think there's some real usage. Last I read of it.
And I guess the only way this would make sense is in the most extreme form of free speech, videos that cannot be blocked on chain. That would be the ultimate use case, right? Like for good or for bad, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you believe, if you're more free speech maximalist or not, right? So I guess that would be the most sticky end use case, right? Where you would want to buy into a system where I can't be blocked. So for example, say you're a dissident in some country and you want to get your voice spread out there, then you could, in theory, upload your videos to this on-chain network. It's distributed and can never be taken down in theory unless you can take control of the network.
Yep.
So that seems to be some inherent value in that, because and ultimately I think it's real tangible value, because the whole point of blockchain is about trust.
Yep.
Right, and free speech and trust.
Not needing to trust.
Not needing to trust. Like the system inherently is.
Yep.
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah. So that was an interesting gamble.
But in a sense, it's more of a trade than versus an investment, right? Because you weren't sure if that was going to take off or not, but it just took off, and then you end up exiting.
Well, okay. Put it that way. There's always that element of luck.
Yeah.
So I cannot attribute this trade to my being clever.
Yeah.
But there was some fundamental analysis done at the time.
Okay.
At the time, so of what's available.
Yeah.
This one seems to be in an interesting category. And I remember looking at what the market can offer.
Yeah.
Centralized and decentralized, and looking at this is what the market cap potential is. And and this one seems to be undervalued.
Okay.
Also, I compared it to the comparable players.
Yeah.
So looking at their worth, this seems quite cheap. So yeah, it panned out.
Did you think it would be as big as it got, or was it like what you were betting was a lot smaller than the actual value that you got back from it? Right. So
rephrase that.
Yeah. So for example, Peter Thiel, when he wrote the first check to Mark Zuckerberg, it was like 500,000. He only thought he was going to 15x his money, but he like 1,000 bajillion percented his money. So did you so was your
in my case what was it?
Yeah, in your case, so what was your expectation? Did you think it was going to 10x, but then you got like 100x, or what was the case?
Okay, I don't have the number, but it'd be something like that.
You were surprised
though.
Exceeded by far than what you thought in your initial analysis.
Yeah. Although I did not quite have a target.
Yeah.
I never had a target with anything. Yeah. But it did exceed. Though that's how bull runs are. So.
Yeah. So and I think that's a very important note that you have, right? And a lot of VCs should also take note, right? Like in the past decade, a lot of them have invested in many unicorns, but was it just their skill or their right timing in place? Like because they were in Silicon Valley and hitting a bull run, and there was loose liquidity from the Fed, right? That you were able to spread many bets and just capture a bull run. So how much was it skill, and how much was it actually, your luck, right, ultimately? And then the people without the hubris, in the wrong cycle may apply the wrong logic, and then you get wiped out, right? So it's a good framework, I think, a good story, a good anecdote. So
in this case, I'm also glad I had the ability to take profit. Yeah. It's not a small thing for me.
Well, here's the other thing about investing like this. After you took profit, how much more did it go up?
I don't care. I don't want to know.
Smart.
I don't want to know. I said I take it off. So I have lists of things. I call it radar. Yeah. It's just a list of assets. Once I sell something, I take it off the list. I don't want to know anymore.
Isn't it a learning moment though, or you think that's a slippery slope?
I don't know. It could be the wrong move, but no, I'd rather not have it mess with my head.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Is there any other notable investments, like what's it called? What the coin again? What's it called?
Livepeer.
Livepeer. Is there any other notable investments like Livepeer that maybe were successful? Maybe not due to bull runs, but maybe due to the actual value and usage.
Okay. Let's see.
Or maybe you got the thesis somewhat right, and then you were able to get profit.
That's not so easy. Let's see. Trying to recall things that I'm still holding, and then there are
actually
things I let go of.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess I tell you one that's not that.
Okay.
That was pure luck. That was BNB, Binance.
Okay, Binance.
But it's something I bought to hold to tiny minuscule amount.
Yeah.
I was buying the hold for the benefits because trading fees, discounts, trading fee, whatnot. And then I stopped paying attention to it. And then one day I look at it. Wait, what was it? 5-figure.
Oh wow! Look at that. That's nice.
So that's that. But that wasn't a play. That was coincidental.
So are you actually able to grow how do you measure your performance? Are you looking on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis?
Yeah. In fact, I look at the holding value and compare it from week to week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so the real answer to that is you compare it to how Ether performs. Actually, before that, to answer your previous question, actually, holding Ether is just
the best.
The best return for the least cost.
Okay.
But cost as in the effort you put in.
Well, that's because you were probably very early in Ether. Is that fair to say? Because it's able to weather the swings and overall still up. Because say if you got on a different time frame.
Yeah, but I didn't. It's not that I hold a lot of it.
Okay.
So, it's not that I hold it and it remain constant. Yeah. And then it grow large. Yeah. Over the years, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of. It is a large chunk of my portfolio right now. Yeah. But it was kind of willful.
Okay.
Okay. So. Okay. So what was it you brought up?
Managing performance.
So compare it to. So your portfolio, it performs this way, and compare it to how Ether performs.
Okay.
So that's how you should gauge how
well you do. So you benchmark against Ether.
Yes.
But then year over year, you're seeing your net worth grow.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully.
Well, of course, it's a question.
No. So upon a bear run, of course, there's a huge drop.
Yeah. Okay, so you're relative to where you got in, you're still ahead though.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Okay, but
relative to 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, 6-7 years. You're overall you're still made money, but you're just down from the peak.
Yeah.
But that makes sense because you were correlated. Your investments were correlated to the macro, right?
Sure. Yeah.
From the peak to where you are now, how big is the drop in your portfolio percentage-wise?
From the peak, I'd say at least 80.
Ooh, that's a huge drop, huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And do you think going forward it's still going to be very correlated to that, or you can invest in such a way that it will not be correlated, like real alpha?
I doubt so. Unless my risk propensity profile whatnot changes.
Yeah.
Meaning I hold
more
most. Meaning if I de-risk, I hold more stable coins. Yeah. Then that might change.
It might change in that your growth is slower, or
it may change in that the drop bear market doesn't hurt me that much.
It's like hedging a bit against the thing that you're trying to get away from, ironically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So meaning, I think it's still unlikely though. If most of your holdings are Bitcoin, Ether.
Yeah.
And upon a bull run, it'll still drop.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
In fact, if all my holdings like all the shit coins are out, it's only Bitcoin, Ether, and it drops 80, I'm perfectly fine with
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, it seems like you're just taking it like month by month, quarter by quarter. Like you don't have some kind of grand vision where this heads to, or how to direct your money in such a way that it gets this unlock where the wealth grows exponentially. It just seems like you're just staying invested in crypto, kind of seeing how opportunities arise, see if it kind of makes sense, make the small bet. I guess you manage your risk by spreading the bets now, not as big bets, smaller bets across many things. So, okay, so then you just overall hope this grows as a category.
Correct.
Do you see more institutional money moving into this? Do you think regulation is going to help this? Do you not look at those things? You don't care?
Regulations, it's a big topic within crypto.
It should affect you too, ultimately, I guess, right?
In a second or third order effect.
Okay.
But I haven't made up my mind whether it's a good thing.
What are you looking at to decide this?
I don't know. It feels like look. Here's some downside I can name.
Yeah.
So you have institutional money flowing in. They could also flow out very quickly.
That's a good point.
And that hurts.
I think the main reason why things have probably continued at this current prices, or at least not dip below, is because the money's staying, right? So that's a good point. The risk is that they could leave.
Yeah. So is that good or bad? I don't know.
It's got to be bad. Come on.
And because institutional money is in, then it's somehow affected by what the Fed does.
Yeah, it's correlated, which is, again, ironic.
Yeah.
Right?
So I know it's correlated now, but the more institutional money is in, the more correlation there is. So you're now on the whim of Jerome Powell.
Why? Can you explain that mechanism?
Okay, so there may come a time when, based on the decision made by the Fed, they may have to pull money out.
Because they need money for their obligations.
Yeah.
In the real world.
So in a real bank run.
Yeah.
Say.
Well, currently we're kind of going through that, right?
Yeah. So okay, well, I have to get cash from somewhere for the bank run going. Yeah. I need to sell my ether.
I see.
There's a lot of ether to sell.
Yeah.
So.
At least for now, at least the big four global banks or whatever number that is, they're well capitalized enough and benefited enough with enough regulation in place to absorb all these smaller banks that are going under. Right? At least we're seeing that in headlines where they're buying up all these smaller banks who are distressed from they just raised rates again recently, right?
Yeah.
Another 25 basis points. So, I would imagine the guys who are institutional money in crypto probably are part of that group somehow. So it should be somewhat stable for now, I guess. I don't know what paradigm would shift. And then we're talking about another great financial crisis probably. that would affect probably crypto then. I see your point.
Yeah. But overall, I don't have a lot of insights about on how regulation plays to this. So in general, I would prefer government to have like no hands.
Yeah.
In any of this.
Seems unlikely after FTX.
Yeah.
But I was talking to some friends. There's a big shift of more favorable regulation in the East versus the West.
You mean in the East first?
Yeah, like that's more crypto friendly on a government perspective, regulation wise. So a lot of more crypto projects are looking. It's like if you were to start a project or something on crypto, like you would tend to probably look more towards organizing in Eastern countries, Asian countries.
Yeah, that looks like it. Yeah. I've heard, of course, Singapore is established.
Yeah.
I've heard Hong Kong want to do something.
Yes, Hong Kong, yes, correct. That's what I heard too.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I guess good for you. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
As long as you're not blocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way for them to block you technically, actually. Yeah, you have to rip out the internet basically in order to do that.
Unless I dabble in running a fund, I would say it's pretty much irrelevant to me.
Yeah. Okay. So, no, but even crypto funds, if they're mostly in crypto, it doesn't matter either then, right?
I think it does.
Why?
Because you're talking about running a fund, right?
Crypto fund though. Like your money is all in crypto, but you invest.
Do you touch fiat?
No.
Okay. Then that's
doesn't matter.
Different story.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah. So then, what else are we missing in crypto? Like in your world, what else is interesting in crypto, or did we not talk about? Maybe where you're.
What do you know about GameFi? So, what has crossed your radar?
Very little. I just had a podcast with my friend from Team Rocket Research. They focus on GameFi a lot, and they actively are investing in those games and doing research around them. And they approach from a very traditional standpoint, just like any other gaming company, actually.
Okay.
Right. I guess from what I understand and what I'm told is that the difference with GameFi is that, in theory, you can make all games more portable with each other.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that would be the main benefit of the games on a chain. Right. So my item bought in this game can be brought to this game, and that's the problem with the current ecosystem, right? Current games are massive. We're talking like games generate hundreds of millions of dollars buying all these skins. The economics are real, actually, right?
Yep.
So the way they look at it is just any other traditional game. The usage, the traffic to the website, are there actually people playing the game, right? How's the growth? Like very, very traditional, kind of like almost like e-commerce metrics. So they look at games like that, and his thesis is that early this year, a lot of games have been started, but you won't see traction only towards the end of the year. And he believes VCs will start entering back into GameFi at the end of this year. Right. So, but he's very open to looking at any game. Ultimately, it's very simple. Like, if you play games, you should know what is a good game, right? So if someone comes and pitch you an investment to invest in their game, right, just play the game and see how it is, right? Then look at the usage, because everything's on chain anyway.
Okay.
Or then look at the other traditional metrics, like cohort analysis over time, usage, the economy of the games, like how are people trading, the value of items, right? So that's the very general basis that I understand about GameFi. I mean, the most popular one was Axie Infinity, right? Significantly dropped from its peak, but still very healthy ecosystem, right? The game's still alive. Traditional games themselves are big and have the ability to cross over in the future, right? Like the Robloxes of the world, this kind of stuff. They have their own currencies already.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is there anything specific you want to know, or because I don't look at any game. I've been pitched quite a few games, but I don't bother to try playing them or this kind of stuff because I personally would like to see a white paper and see how well thought out the quality of it is. And of course, you don't necessarily need that as long as it's a good game inherently. But I just haven't come across anything that's very compelling. It seems very scammy,
Maybe I'm trying to do some life thinking on how to approach investing in games.
Okay.
Which is like quite an interesting category. I think, say 20 years back, how do you invest in a game?
20 years, you'd have to do it through a studio. You have to create a studio.
Exactly, right.
Well, 20 years ago, it had to be a big studio. These days, they have like the indie studios because technology's progressed so much, right? In terms of software development and tooling.
So I guess it's safe to say you have never been able to invest in gaming as a category for a lot of people. So
interesting.
This has opened up.
Is that true? Yeah, the only way is if you have to build it.
I mean, okay, if I'm rich
by buying it, I guess. Yeah.
In 2002, say, I have large chunk of cash.
Okay.
I'm interested to invest in gaming, not gambling, gaming.
Yeah.
What do? I go to a fund. Who would do this.
Who specialize in, probably to get exposure to it. Or you could just directly buy a studio or invest in a studio or build a studio, right?
That's a bit too high risk.
2002 is like, that's where all the giants began, right? Like all the ones we know today.
So my point is, there's now that opportunity.
Okay, so it's kind of democratizing.
Yeah. It more so than investing in films. Would you say?
It's the same problem, though.
Yeah.
It's the same problem.
Yeah, exactly. So if someone wants to approach this, how do they make that judgment? So what you brought up with just now, the framework. The framework, I think, that makes sense. So, but how do you judge if a game is good? So something you said just now, it's like almost throwaway, but is it that easy? If you play games, you know a game is good? I'm not sure.
Did you see the recent TV show? Is it a movie or is on Tetris?
I haven't watched it yet.
You should watch it. Yeah. But it's exactly that.
Yeah.
Because back then, it's not so clear. Gaming as a category, number one. And number two, like how big Tetris was going to be. It was just some Russian developer who made the game. It was viral within the USSR, right? And then it was like pirated out and then just picked up randomly, right? But then this one guy was so obsessed with it. He knew it was going to be the biggest game, but no one else knew. And that's a matter of distribution problem at that point, right? And then that's the whole Nintendo story, how they get involved and the whole fight, right? But yeah, it's almost like early stage investing. What's a good game?
So, okay, here's another difference. Take Tetris.
Yeah.
Retro game, no narrative, simple mechanics.
Yeah.
You could judge it like in minute number 3.
Yeah, correct.
Right now, games are huge.
Yeah, very complex.
You're gonna, I don't know, our number 1 and our number 2 may be vastly different. And there are aspects like, I don't know, the tokenomics.
But let's say we talk about institutional investors, though, who invest in games. They're going to be looking from a return perspective, amount of money. So it's very clear for what they would say is a good game, right?
it's more, for them, it's about trackable metrics. It's less quality. Yeah, would you say?
But they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah,
the reason why
true.
it goes mass because the quality is there, and it's associated to those metrics, or at least because like it also depends on what scale you're investing. Are you small, early stage? Then you could do like a big indie win. That's a big niche. Will be a big win. Say like millions of users versus 100 millions of users, right?
So here's the point I was getting at. When you get to see the numbers, they have happened.
Yeah.
And then you invest, then you're kind of a late player, which is fine if you made up your mind to do that.
Yeah. So are you trying to say like you want to go earlier, and how can you tell?
Yeah.
Okay.
If one wants to, then you cannot wait for the numbers to show up.
Interesting. Yeah, because my friend is saying that there's currently a gap in the market for GameFi investors who are not even looking at the metrics. Right. So that's like a short window.
Yeah.
So once everyone starts looking at the metrics, then that gets arbitraged away. Then it's going to be moving to your space, what you're talking about, like what makes a good game fundamentally, like from the team inception. But I think this just gets, it's more of a traditional IP issue. And when I say IP, I mean ideas. It's no different from filmmaking, TV show making, game making. Ultimately, the biggest bottleneck of why people can't do it well is because they don't have good enough ideas.
I guess.
Right. And then that's more of a question of like, what kind of person or exposure do you need to be a good idea generating person? Right. An idea that fundamentally resonates across many people. Right. Which like what makes a good story, what makes a good film, what makes a good movie, what makes a good game. I think ultimately the core is down to the inception of the idea. And I mean, how to judge that is hard, right? Because it's about the big small. Right, the macro picture, the zeitgeist of the time, and the small, your ability to weave like small niches that can grow over time that are kind of cultish and eventually get bigger. Because sometimes that's a multi-decade process too, right? Like anime, it's very niche many decades ago, very big niche, but now it's today. Fast forward today, it's a massive niche, even that's more widely accepted. Like it's just weird if you don't actually have watched an anime. Right? Whereas back then, 10, 20 years ago, well, maybe 20 years ago, it's like, it's more common to not have watched, probably, right? So,
right.
So it requires the ecosystem, requires the players, it requires the idea. So it's tricky. I don't know. I don't think I have a good answer to this.
Yeah. So I guess I'm broaching this from curiosity angle. Not saying I want to be an early investor into games. But if I were to, how should one do it, right? If you can read the metrics, fine. But there's also, what I worry is, when I can read the metrics, there's an element of, what's that, Conway's law? Where if it exists, that metric, look it up. It's
Conway's law?
Yeah.
Let me see. What is it?
What does it say?
Okay. Organizations who design systems are constrained to produce designs which are copies of the communication structures of these organizations.
Wrong. That's not it.
Okay, not it. Different one.
I'll bring it up again when it comes up.
Okay.
So when there's a metric for the team to attack, it tends to become.
Oh, I see what you mean.
The end itself.
Well, it's like picking a vanity metric.
Yeah.
Right. You optimize to the wrong thing, and then it doesn't become a good game. But I think most. I would argue a lot of at scale games, massively popular games, kind of move towards that. Like everyone will complain how microtransactions have destroyed certain franchises, or. You just lose the soul of the game over time. But I mean...
And I also don't believe every big game share the same metrics.
Yeah, of course. I think there's some principal metrics you can't escape from a business standpoint, right? Like your use. Yeah, like what determines success? Like, well, I don't know. It's a good question. Can you compare the top 2-3 highest revenue generating games, and then are they different games inherently? Like, is it like a game where you have to be on it 24/7?
Yeah.
Is it a game where you could play one game and quit? And then, because maybe economies are inherently different, right? So, I mean, yeah, I guess there's a lot of variability. Because I know that, for example, Roblox is a world building game. It's like Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
Mostly probably through microtransactions of, I don't know, the skins, the currency, the stuff to buy stuff to build your characters, right?
I wonder if like anyone would approach it like sub-segmentizing games. It's like I would bet on one category of games and I bet on another category of games.
I think with maturation it gets there. I just don't think there's enough talent and ideas in the space or ability. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure missing too. Like to go where we are with traditional gaming to bring it on chain is like impossible because the compute is not there. There's just so like you can't imagine putting a Unity on chain. How does that work?
No,
I don't know how you could
make sense.
Yeah, at least now, maybe in the future, if literally everyone's on chain, maybe I don't know. So, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think gaming is interesting. My friend from Team Rocket also said that he believes hand in hand the gaming growth of GameFi will go with SocialFi, social.
Social
media,
centralized social media.
Yeah, centralized social media, right? It's going to go hand in hand because your identities are tied in it. So he has this kind of thesis where he's trying to invest and push that space. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking about writing an essay on how true that is. Like, will what we've seen historically on Web 2 be replicated on Web 3? To some degrees, I think the human behavior elements you can't escape, right? Like you can't escape you as a person online, right? So like it could either be an anonymous person or it could be a real like social profile of you, right? And then your constraints around those problems don't go away. So if you want to put social media on blockchain, then yeah, a lot of those will stay the same. But like how it gets solved and how it manifests, I think, yeah, maybe I'm not saying this very well. I don't know.
That decentralized, the social media landscape right now, I don't know, to me it's just total clusterfuck.
You would think there'd be more talk about it because trust is a big issue.
Yeah.
I think it became a public good. It got to so much scale where it's almost like a public good. It's almost a public space at this point. So there's always that question of like, regulation, censorship, free speech. Which you would think like the perfect complement at scale would be blockchain because it's a trust issue inherently, right? So, but yeah, I don't know why it's not taking.
Maybe it comes back. It has something to do with what we discussed about mass adoption.
Yeah, probably.
So as an identity, a sovereign identity, it's basically a solved thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this gap. There's this user experience gap from a layman to there. Yeah. And there's a few ventures that are trying to tackle that. So
yeah, there are for social media. Oh, interesting. Anything you would invest in or no?
See, that's the thing. Would I invest it?
Yeah.
I don't know socials well. That's the thing.
Okay.
So I know what I'm not good at, so I tend not to touch them.
Yeah.
But if I can read, people on a large scale, very well, I would know that I can make a bet on, let's say, Mastodon versus Blue Sky, for instance.
Okay, I see.
Then I'll be more confident.
I see. Okay, so it's just you're staying within your sphere of confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So,
is there anything else in crypto then? Anything else tickling your fancy, or maybe that's directly in your critical path?
In crypto?
Yeah.
Let's see. These days, Bitcoin is getting interesting.
That's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
You think it's
been boring for a long time.
Yeah, you think it's like a dinosaur and it's kind of at its limit, right?
People are putting tokens on it.
What does that mean? Like, how's that different from before?
So somehow someone found a way to mint NFTs.
Okay.
Inside Bitcoin.
Okay.
As in using the Bitcoin network to build new assets, new digital assets.
Okay, in a sense, like in an NFT sense. What do you mean it's a digital asset? Like a art, or what are we talking here?
It can be.
It could be a game item too, or?
It can be, yes.
Okay, so just the technological ability exists now.
Yeah. So now that NFT exists, they continue to make fungible tokens. Fungible tokens now exist.
During the big wave of NFTs before FTX, where were most of the NFTs sitting on then?
Before NT. Wait, there's no relation.
There's no well, because you're saying that NFTs are now linked to Bitcoin. Or there's a class of NFTs with Bitcoin now.
Something like that. So when you make an NFT, it can sit on any network you want. So typically Ethereum.
Okay, so in the past it was mostly Ethereum.
Yeah, mostly.
Why? And because it had
because they prefer, because it's most secure. They think
versus Bitcoin, or the ability
versus other networks. So other networks you may have heard of Polygon, Avalanche, etc.
Yeah.
So it may be they may sit on those networks. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to pay for, cheaper to transact.
Yeah.
Ethereum is very expensive.
Yeah.
But people pay premium for that.
Okay.
Simply because it's perceived as the most secure.
Okay.
So, and it's most secure for technical reasons.
Why was it? Oh, because it's more widely distributed. The nodes on the network.
Yeah, you may say so.
Okay.
You may say so.
But Bitcoin should be even more distributed, right? Or no?
Arguably, some people may say so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also validated differently.
Okay.
You may have heard that Ethereum recently switched to proof of stake.
It's proof of stake. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still so Bitcoin is the only one running on proof of work.
Okay.
Burning a lot of coal.
Okay. I see.
So so the point is, this is a good time to bring up this mental model. You can think of a network like Ethereum, like Polygon, Bitcoin, as cities.
Okay.
They are like cities.
Okay.
And cities have different density, different cost of living.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Different defense capability.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ethereum would be equivalent to, say, New York City.
Okay.
Very expensive living.
Yeah.
People then to cope, people start to build high rise and live in high rise. Yeah. Some cities are very cheap to live in.
Yeah.
So say a Polygon or a Phantom, very cheap to live in. Security, not as strong. Right.
I see what you mean.
So when you live in New York, you pay a lot.
Premium,
Yeah. Where do the money go to? The money goes to defense.
Okay.
You have a huge army around.
I see.
So Bitcoin is Bitcoin's defense is very strong. So when someone make an NFT, they have to think about this. Do I want to live in a city that is not as strong in defense? Yeah. So,
but more looser, more flexible, faster.
Faster, yes. Yeah. So people think of Bitcoin as if I could live there somehow.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
To think about. Yeah. So someone did.
Must have been hard then.
I guess.
Because no one else did it before.
Yeah. So, someone did, and started with a non-fungible one, and now there are fungible tokens, somehow.
Magic.
Yeah. So, it's it may be interesting in the coming months.
Yeah.
To see what comes up from there.
Do you think there's enough excess money to flow back in and make another bull wave?
Excess money.
Or do you think there's going to be real value? Like, so it sounds like there's nothing different though, inherently. I feel inherently, it's safer. Yeah. But like, for example, if you could build all the game items on the most popular game as a token, NFT, whatever, on Bitcoin, sounds better to me then, because there's real usage. People get actual value from playing the games. Right? People spend like 6 figures USD playing games.
Yep.
You know, so that to me makes sense from that perspective. But other than that, like art is a tough one. You know.
Yep. But I don't know if someone value their digital art in the hundreds of millions as an NFT, they better make sure it's on a very secure network.
That's fair.
That no one can reverse.
Yeah, no one can take it.
So Bitcoin seems to fit that bill.
Okay.
Yeah. Other aspects, who knows? It's all super speculative now. It's like
okay, but that's something new that's kind of come up on your radar.
Yeah.
But are you gonna dabble or
not anytime
just
soon?
Assessing?
I don't think so.
Just assessing.
I'll keep an eye.
Okay, you keep an eye. Okay, it's a good update. I had no clue about that. So, all right. How about everything else, man? How is life otherwise? What else is new in your life?
I'm excited about VR.
Oh, really? That's like that's got to be contrarian, no? Because Meta.
I guess
is being told to go away from that.
I know. I feel ever since I got into it, just not that long ago, maybe half a year. I almost feel obligated to sing his praises.
Really?
And just to make sure the scene doesn't die.
Okay. What makes you say, like, what makes you so excited about it? I guess from a user perspective.
Okay, but first, the fact that Facebook is leading the charge.
Yeah.
I have a mixed feeling about this.
Okay.
But as a medium, I love it.
VR as a medium.
So it's the immersion is just something else.
Okay. So what makes you most excited? What immersion makes you most excited?
It's like going to a theme park anytime I want.
Sure. So, but like what? So I'm guessing it's a game you're playing, right?
Yeah.
So what's the most exciting?
So I went through. I finished playing Doom, for example.
Oh, okay.
Doom 3 specifically. I'm now playing a horror game, Walking Dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's very different actually from traditional gaming.
It's all these titles it can be played on a regular PC. But in as an immersive environment, it's just something else.
Yeah. You actually get sucked into it. Yeah. So I have a kind of communications hypothesis I'm trying to work on where I believe, like, from a technological standpoint, you converge, like all the technology that we're using now is trying to converge to this as real life experience as possible.
Okay. Yeah.
It's almost like recreating the holodeck from Star Wars. I feel that's Star Trek. Sorry, Star Trek. My bad. I'm gonna make a lot of people angry.
But it's like, Star Wars Day. But
yeah,
it's
that is
to be fair.
Star Wars Day. Yeah, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. But I feel that VR, handphones, everything, the whole purpose, even like podcasting as a medium, the reason why it works so well because technology is turning towards like how we've evolved. This is the most natural way to learn, converse, exchange knowledge. And like what Mark Zuckerberg said about why he wants to recreate meetings on VR and have your hands in a very natural way. It's because technology is like, I would have a thesis where I would invest, right, where technologies kind of push that to closer to reality. So that's what I think, right? And I think that's what you're talking about is gaming leaping forward the next generation. I don't know if there's any hardware constraints now. Maybe there are to some degree. Maybe it could be smaller, less invasive, more comfortable, or more immersive, right? It's more like you are becoming the character in the game. It's becoming more real. It's becoming more like tangible. So like if you were to invest in whatever it is, like communications or gaming or whatever, if there's some element of this, I like it. It's what technology makes it more real.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm approaching VR purely as a consumer. Yeah. So there's no investment angle. And it's.
But you're a fanatical user though, so it says something.
Yeah. It's like it's one of the handful of things I feel excited about in my free time.
So like whether you're building or whether you're investing, they should listen to what you're saying, right? Because why are you a fanatic? Whereas like the mainstream media will say, VR's dead, right?
I don't blame them though.
Yeah.
I can name why. Let's examine why.
Yeah.
some people approach VR by asking, how is it useful? How does it make my life more productive?
Yeah.
Example. I think that's a wrong angle.
Yeah.
You never get a positive answer from that.
Yeah.
It's not about making you more productive. In fact, it sucks more time out of you.
It's another category of entertainment. Right?
Exactly.
And so then you have your entertainment consumption horizon, and it's just what percentage can it take of that? It's zero sum. Right?
In fact, it's even worse. When you do VR, every medium goes
actually
away.
blocked out. Yeah. That's so it's very powerful in that sense.
Well, some people may not like that. I want my phone.
Right. So the thesis or theory would be the more you could integrate reality into VR, the more sticky it gets.
Perhaps.
Right?
Yeah. So you don't get to. So when you're in VR, it's totally that thing only.
Yeah.
You don't see your phone.
Correct.
No nothing.
It's so immersive. Yeah.
So okay, some people may not like that.
Yeah. I personally do not like that because I would prefer to be in a AR world where everything's enhanced and I can do more with the external.
Right.
But that's just me. Yeah.
Now, then some people may think, how do you make this into something for meetings, make meetings better?
Yeah.
Great intention, not a killer user case. So
it's not, I think you're right from a usage standpoint, but from an underlying technological standpoint, the more you can replicate that reality. So that inherently that as a technological piece, like a piece of the chain, is going to be very important.
Yeah.
So if you can make it as fluid as possible, like you really believe you're there in the meeting, that technology can be ported to other things that are more useful, that have more viral use or more spread. Right?
To be fair, I do chat with friends in VR.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And
what is
the
that
experience like? The experience is good. I recommend it.
It's not as good as this, right?
Definitely not.
But it's better than, say,
it's
Zoom
better
call.
than Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have audio only, low resolution. Zoom slightly higher, and VR.
Yeah.
It's think of it like 4K compared to 1080p.
Oh, really? That's a pretty big leap, though.
I guess. Yeah.
If you are a HD user for a long time, then you jump to 4K. It's very noticeable, and of course, then you get used to it. Then you try to go backwards, you can't, right?
Yep.
So do you imagine a world where, in the future, primarily the mode for remote communication would be VR?
Be a long time away, I feel.
Is there
at the current rate of growth? I don't see it within the next 3 years.
Is there technological bottlenecks or UX UI bottlenecks, or what are you seeing? Because you said it's 4K to 1080p is a big difference.
But putting on the device,
it's
that's quite ceremonial.
Yeah. That's why I don't like. It's very to me. It's too heavy.
It's not. Well, suppose it's a perfect device. It's very light. It's very. Okay, if the device is this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That no problem. But as it is right now.
Yeah.
Putting it on, turning it on, going to the right place, and it's a ceremony. Yeah. It's not trivial.
Yeah. That's fair.
So that's a UX obstacle.
Would you? I mean, I don't know if you know anything about hardware. Do you think there's any hardware constraints to making that smaller, more portable, more?
Oh, hell of a lot. So
it's just exponentially far.
It's very tough to do to shrink your hardware to something sensible. Yeah. So the fact that they've come this far, I think is quite impressive as it is. Mm-hmm. So and what you will see on screen will never be as good as, say, a PlayStation.
Yeah, not yet.
Some say never.
No, come on. With the advent of quantum computing and
I hope someday
Moore's law,
I hope someday, but
I'm telling you, technology converges to the reality, man.
I hope so.
I would believe. That's my guess. Yeah.
At least at this point, it's I find it impressive enough that it is where it is today. So, but anyway, I think hardware capability is less of a concern. It's about people don't find it appealing yet as an idea.
Yeah. The few games that I've played on VR, like the spaceship ones, made me too nauseous. I couldn't do it. Like it's just not feasible for me. But other games.
What is it? What game is it? So you drive a spaceship.
Yeah, you drive a spaceship. It was on PlayStation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then it's just rotating the ship around. And then you're like, oh, like I really can't handle it.
It was PSVR.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
So. But if you could solve that, fantastic. Other games are very enjoyable, but they're more like sillier, kiddier games, right? So,
right.
But yeah, I think, I don't know. I do imagine it getting to a place where it's very good, right? So, and I don't see why it shouldn't keep. I think what they have to do is cultivate the fanatics and keep feeding fanatics. It takes time, like the evolution of console games. It's multi-decade to where we are. So, but if they cannot maintain a rabid fan base and keep feeding and growing that, then it's very hard, right?
Yeah. And there's no guarantee that this will continue.
Yeah, especially with the advent of AI, right? Facebook has lost the script, I guess, and everyone wants to compete on the AI space instead of looking at VR, right?
Yeah. So as of now, games are still rolling in.
Yeah.
So that's a positive sign. Hope that continues, but
do you still purchase games regularly?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, so every year you at least purchase a game, probably.
Yeah,
okay,
a game or two. Yeah,
and then it's almost like with I don't know, what is the cycle for a regular console? Every few years there's a new console, like an upgrade.
Feels like 5 years. I don't know.
Actually, it's like 5 years, right? So So, are we up to that 5 year mark for VR game sets?
Yep. And I think a new model is coming out this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the word. For which one?
For Quest.
Oh, Quest. Okay. Actually, I don't even know the world of VR. Like, who are the players? It's like I know.
So you have PlayStation.
PlayStation,
which is PSVR 2 just came out, and that's quite a premium device.
Yeah.
And then on the lower end, it's produced by Facebook. So it's called Quest.
Oh, Quest. Okay.
So the newest one now is called Quest 2, which is what I have.
Okay, you have Quest 2.
So Quest 3 is about to come out.
Okay. Also, they are still producing and investing and growing this.
Yep. So
interesting.
So when you buy a Quest model, everything you see within is a Facebook ecosystem, a Facebook-made ecosystem.
Yeah. Okay.
It's they run their own operating system, which underneath is Android.
Yeah.
But they have their app store. They have their they update their OS constantly. So yeah, it's their ecosystem. And there's a small player called Pico. You may have seen some advertisement.
Okay.
So that's run. I don't know that ecosystem well, but they exist. So which is a good thing.
Okay, and then so your only experience is with Quest.
Yeah.
And the games that so all these makers of these sets, do they have? Is it the same problem with current consoles, like the certain games that are only on certain platforms, or are most games on all platforms?
Short answer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some titles that are exclusive to VR2.
Okay, I see.
Like PlayStation
VR2. Yeah, I see. That's probably the Sony IP. Yeah.
Though a lot of games in Quest, Oculus Store, are adapted.
Okay.
Over from PC, or the other way around. I don't know.
And so for Quest, the library of games is good enough. There's plenty to play, and they're very good games.
Yep.
Okay.
The library has grown quite well in recent years.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have you may know, they have Among Us.
Yeah.
Adapted one.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos where it looks like very.
I don't know why you would play in VR, but it exists.
No, but the viral videos are hilarious. It's like these really old dudes chasing little children, like trying to stab them. Little kids are screaming. It's like, it's funny. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that was the VR game. I wasn't sure what I was watching at the time, but now thinking back, I think it was the VR Among Us, which looks really fun. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
There was, interestingly, you may know the title Myst.
Yeah, dude, that was it's like the first game I probably ever played. Like one of the first many early games I played on PC, like in the 90s. Yeah,
right.
That was a fantastic game, puzzle game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just played the original a few months ago.
How did you play the original?
No, like it is the original.
Like you got an emulator, or
yes?
Okay.
Yeah, you run it on an emulator within Windows 11.
Yeah.
And I played it because I was sick with COVID.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing anything else. And that was one thing I could play.
Did the game hold up?
Oh, yeah.
It was still good.
Well, I mean, the graphics didn't bother me.
So for some people, maybe. Yeah. But but inherently the game itself, it was still a good game.
Absolutely. It's like a good classic book.
There you go, right? So what makes a good game, right? You play that, something like that old, like we're talking many decades.
Yeah.
Approaching 3 decades probably soon.
Right. How many games like that hold up?
The IP, the idea, like how can it hold up, right? So there's something core about probably good games. Yeah. I think it's an interesting space to look at in terms of VR. It seems contrarian at this point because no one seems to be talking about it. But if that as a category can keep growing within Meta, I think that'll be very interesting.
There's an angle. I mean, you think of it as a contrarian view. I wonder if that's true. I wonder whether that has to do with the sentiment of the age now. Do you find people less optimistic now compared to
our
a decade ago?
Group. I feel the zeitgeist is changing, but I mean, you bring a good point. It could be my inherent bias of my age group.
Okay, but I'm talking about in general. Maybe even those younger than us.
I feel my guess is the ramifications of social media have made people more depressed over time.
Right.
It's almost like this trending towards a dystopic kind of, because of the technologies we've implemented, right? So it appears that way, at least to me.
Okay. So I wonder if it's true, if my reading is true, I wonder people's disinterest in VR has to do with that.
Like they want to reconnect to the real world? I think so.
They may think about, what's the implication of this? There has to be more downside than up.
I don't know. I don't think it's that logical. For example, talking anecdotally and talking to other people, they tell me Gen Z is getting married younger and they're going more to religion.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right? Yeah. Like it's grasping for meaning from things that have been kind of hollowed out in their life.
Okay.
I don't know. That's my interpretation. I don't know how true. There's no science behind this.
Okay. But is it factually true? They married younger?
That I can't say. I would need to dig up actual research, but like anecdotally is what, like in my circles, what people tell me that seems to be true, or at least they know it's like noticeable in their circles.
Okay,
right.
Okay. I'll believe that.
Yeah, I could be in a certain circle that just happens to to see that trend, but so how does that tie back to what we're saying? So like I don't think it's a logical. It's like you're trying to say like Gen Z making environmental decisions because they see the world crumbling behind. Like I'm not going to eat meat. I don't think it's like that for VR though, right? I think I do think from a media perspective, there's only so much you can consume in a day, and so the value has to be exponential. Like it has to be 10x, 20x better experience. And again, it's going to go from niche to mainstream, right? So we're just at a part where it's niche. So I just think it's hard. It's hyper competitive to be able to take that market share of someone's day. Like say, how much do you work in a day? 8 hours? And then you sleep 8 hours, right? And you only have another 8 hours for whatever else, right? So so how do you split up your 8 hours of free time?
Yeah.
What do you do? Read? You play VR? What else do you do? Watch Netflix?
You mean me personally?
Yeah, I'm saying you personally.
In my playtime, I would read, watch,
TV shows. Yeah. Play VR mostly.
Not all in the same day.
Yeah.
You know, spread out across the week. So, right?
You would write. Yeah. So can you imagine, like, you just happened to pick up VR, probably on a whim, or someone told you?
On a whim.
Yeah, right. So on a whim. So you just got it. Then now look at your behavior before VR and after VR. How much time does VR eat into your free time?
Quite some,
right?
Yeah.
But because you got a lot of value out of it. But now imagine, not everyone's going to go on a whim to probably do that. So it's going to be some challenges, I think, for adoption. But it's the same thing with early console games, unless it's something more viral. There's like some viral elements of word of mouth, like going to your friend's house, playing Super Mario together, and then you wanted to get your own console, right? So if the game is good enough. So yeah, I think that.
So I guess your point is, it's more the obstacle is more logistical. For
it's a lot of competition
for attention,
and it's exactly. And it's hard to convert that attention. Yeah, so I think that's what I wouldn't say it's like a generational thing where it's like, this is not good for me, so I'm not going to do it. That's more of people in our age, I think, in our 30s and 40s, where you're trying to really be productive and you have to manage your time carefully, right? So if you want to start a family, it's even worse then, right? Or like say, you want to spend more time with people you care about and not with frivolous people, right? So then that's the age where we get more purposeful.
Right.
Where you start saying no more to things instead of being more open. Because when you're young, you have so much time and freedom, right? So.
Yeah. I'm just approaching it from the angle of if people are more. No, I think you're mostly right on that point, but in general, I think people are less receptive and more skeptical of new technology. So we're dealing with large language models now.
Okay.
So I'll place VR kind of in the same category.
Okay.
Where
interesting,
but they may see benefits.
Yeah, but large language model adoption was insane. It's like the fastest growth in history, right?
Yeah.
So does that negate the point then? It can't be in the same category because VR didn't take off in the same way.
But look at the skepticism. Would they have reacted to Google the same way in 1998?
What's the skepticism with large language models now for the average user?
Average user.
Isn't everyone impressed, I thought?
Well, the negative talks would talk about AI safety. They would talk about what it means to the economy.
Isn't that
what it means to?
That's more of the pundits and the experts, no? So it's not really the general user.
Okay. You could be right.
Yeah.
Be right.
That's my read of it, at least. Like AI alignment is very much either you're deep in you understand the math.
Yeah.
You're a researcher or you're some expert or and then or the guys who are actually building it within the companies who left, right? That's the alignment issue. The other ones is that's just the media. I think it's a media narrative of it destroying the economy, taking jobs. It's with every paradigm shift, every new technological introduction, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So, So, but I don't know. I think it is different. So, from an AI tech, if you're comparing technologies to VR and AI, I think it's very different. At least for me, the way I see it. So, yeah.
No, it is. I just wonder how much talk about Zeitgeist. So, there's probably some measurable difference in people's
reaction
attitude
to technology
to new things. So
I don't have a good read on that. It'd be interesting to talk to maybe like a social scientist who's looking at this. Yeah.
My sense is just.
Do you feel a more pessimistic Zeitgeist?
Yeah.
Well, I still think it points back to our period of change and turmoil. Our current institutions are very old and cancerous. It's causing bigger divides, and we're going through that rough change. You look at the last 20s. The 20s was also probably a big time of change, the Gilded Age, right, where you had all these massive tycoons, just like we have today, right? You get poor working class. You're trying to go through industrialization, right? So I don't see it being very different, honestly. Just different flavors, maybe new technologies.
If we look at the cycle between order and chaos, if that's the right framework, so then new techs are always agents of chaos.
Yeah.
And maybe people's mentality they're shifting to wanting more orders.
That could be a way of looking at it. It's interesting. I mean, like, I feel like if you look at any big major panacea as in the technology involved, there's always this rejection of it. Right? So, and then I think we are heading that way. There's a lot of new things on the horizon. Like, we forget that every decade changes a lot significantly. It just doesn't seem like it, but you know, from 10 years ago to the previous decade before that, it's so different.
Well, how is it different to you? Because I would have a bit of hard time
discerning it because we're living through it.
I know.
Right?
But what is different to you? That you can sense very... the phone is...
even just like me having to print out map directions from MapQuest and then on a piece of paper.
Yes.
If you're born now, it's just a given. Like, you'll never be lost ever again as long as your battery is charged. Right. This trends in the future where this is probably just going to be in your brain or something. I don't know. Right? Like, I think the phone maybe changes shape and form in many ways too in the future where devices are on you and you may or may not need it. Right. It's an option. So, but like, it's, like even, the phone wasn't there. Right. VR wasn't there. Just like the advent of what large language models can do, I think it's gonna be mind blowing compared to like when search came around. Yeah, search was so crazy. Yeah, like anything you could find, but of course you had to do more effort to dig to kind of synthesize the information. Now it's just synthesized for you in a few seconds.
Remember we talked about Google Fu. Was Google Fu a thing to you?
Google Fu.
As in the kung fu of how to Google.
Oh, yeah. We did talk about that. Yeah. We did. Yeah.
So now we talk about prompt engineering.
Correct.
And that seems to be a harder skill to acquire.
No, I think we're just old. I think like if a kid born into it now, we're going to be those like grandpas who are trying to use Google when you could just talk to ChatGPT probably. Honestly, it's, I mean, I think we're in the phase where we're going to figure it out, but like, you know, we just got to put effort into it, I think. I think you can. You have to unlearn a lot of things. Yep. And the benefit of young people is they have no prior like context to constrain, like have tunnel vision. Yep. So they're going to use it in such a way that no one will ever think of. Right. So I think they have the benefit of that.
Which I am. I'm actively learning prompt engineering or whatever they have developed so far.
What have you discovered? Like, how are you using the technology?
You talk to it differently. So think of it less as a Q&A machine, and you write it in such a way to let it continue what you have written.
Yeah, it's like building on it, right?
Yeah. So that's different from Google, where your answers are not. It's about keywords.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. I'm far from mastering it, but it's getting better.
What have you learned so far, though?
I use these things to code in environment that I'm not familiar with.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So
for example,
my daily work is done in Python.
Okay.
So these things are not too useful for me. I don't sense a great need for it.
What about for your team?
That's the thing.
That'd be great for your team.
I'm not sure. We had this discussion before.
You should let them use it.
But to finish my point,
sorry.
I was occasionally I would be out of that and code in, let's say, Emacs. Emacs is something I use on a daily basis, and you can create logics for it to run in a language I'm not too familiar with.
What language would that be?
It's called Lisp.
Oh, Lisp.
So Emacs Lisp.
Yeah.
So then I can tell it. I can go to an engine like this, large language model. I tell it what I want. I get exactly that snippet, and it will just work. It's like tweet, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So that's that. Now back to my team. They had a mixed feeling about this.
Okay, interesting.
We had a few discussions on this where we explore how useful it is for them to get code snippet suggestions in their text editor, in their code editor. And they don't find it hugely useful for some reason.
It's probably because they don't have enough context of know how to ask. I feel it would come down to experience.
So I don't know. Maybe they have enough mastery over what they do that this is not hugely useful. Okay, so there's a slight difference between what you get in a text editor, where you want to construct a function that does this and this. So you get a suggestion, maybe a block of 7 lines
of code,
and then you could choose to accept it or not. And then you go to ChatGPT, you tell it to, in a different use case, you go to ChatGPT, you tell me what you want, and it gives you a sample piece of snippet. That's a different use case. So they like this chat bot model a little bit better.
Oh, versus a suggestion.
Yeah.
But where's the suggestion being generated from?
It would be a service like something like offered by GitHub called Copilot.
Oh, Copilot. Okay.
So.
But Copilot also inherently that's the general idea of like, I think just ChatGPT is a better refinement because it's a better data set.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Probably. So some find that the chatbot model a bit more useful.
Is it because they can prompt it in a more natural way?
Maybe they can build on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Build on what they have written before.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So
actually, yeah, because like you ask it one thing, it puts it out, but you could see it's like 70% there. You could ask it to fix the next 30%, but then it returns 20% better, right? Then you could just keep iterating, right? Yeah, I guess Copilot doesn't work that way.
But on my end, I also wonder, is it because we haven't mastered using Copilot yet? Maybe we're using it wrong?
But if inherently the team's using ChatGPT better, it's a better technology at the end of the day. It's going to be more productive faster.
Could
right?
be.
So why waste time?
Could be.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you allowed the team to integrate using ChatGPT? Or it doesn't even matter. They could just use it and you submit code review after, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's up to them.
Yeah.
So far, there's no
one said anything.
No strong. There are no strong words about it. It's almost they're agnostic.
To be clear, you're still working for Kakitangan.
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is your team for the HR service.
Yeah.
The HR SaaS software.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still keeping an eye out on this.
Yeah.
Not sure how to react. But I'll be exploring more. I want to integrate Copilot, but not Copilot, something similar, and see how it affects my coding.
There's also Auto GPT. So you could it could plug into more. Then you could have a probably more refined control over kind of whatever output you're looking for, I guess. So do you envision your team, say if you could master this, do you envision your team getting smaller for development? Everyone becomes more productive?
I hope more productive. Smaller, larger, I don't know. Depends on the resource.
Yeah, so that just depends on your budget for your development team. And then in theory, if you keep your same development, you could build much more exponentially faster or better quality. In theory, right? So in theory, you should be able to move faster with less technical debt going forward if you can master this.
Technical debt, I don't know. But faster, yeah, in theory, yeah.
Well, what's the main cause of technical debt?
Poor design.
So in theory, I guess you would still need someone who understands good design to prompt to get good design output. So, but you can code faster, then you could also review faster too then. So in theory, debt should reduce over time, no?
I don't know how we could review faster. If it's me reviewing, it's the same.
You input and then you could see the output. You know how to prompt ChatGPT better to know what good code looks like. Here are the parameters for good code. Here's the code that my team inputted, right? Now check for any errors. And you just look for the errors. then you assess those errors from the output. You don't look at the whole thing maybe because you look at where ChatGPT looks, and then from there you just can resolve faster or not. Right? Then you could also reprompt it, like rewrite this or something. So review does get better, but ultimately you still do need one master who knows more.
Okay, that's a bit of a different review process than I imagine. Frankly, in at least in my work, reviews don't happen that often.
Oh, okay. That's the nature.
But when it happens, it's not like what you imagine.
Yeah.
It's more like I evaluate it for a design flaw. So I would ask, I would do things like I would highlight a line. Why is it done this way but not that? So this is an alternative method. Have you thought about this? If you have, why this decision?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the back and forth happens.
But that's more of how you're structuring your team. That's more of a choice of how you've built your development team and your processes, right? And that's because I guess to facilitate mentorship, right? So in a sense, though, you could, like in theory, could rethink flows, maybe though.
No, we're trying to relate to LLMs, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
So definitely, if you're doing something new, LLMs are very helpful. But can it lead to bad design?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because it's for people who don't know what they don't know, right? So you need someone who just knows better to come up with good design.
So I don't expect to know. I don't expect a chatbot to know my architecture. So,
well, let's say if you could input your architecture, this is my standards. Now, every code I give to you must follow these standards.
Code convention, that's easy, but
what else is there? Style or
style is easy.
Style is easy, so you could fix those quite easily.
But how do we think of the mental models that happens in the code that may not be visible? That's sometimes hard to read even. Very abstract. I don't expect any.
So do you think those data sets don't exist on the internet currently?
If they exist, then we have to use something similar for this chatbot to be helpful.
Yeah, because it would be the same thing with autopilot. So I think they're trying to code some better mental maps and then have some suggestion output based off what you're prompting it, right? So I'd imagine like in order to say to get to the point of what I'm saying, you would need to have a very specific data set of very good mental models. But that's also very nebulous, right?
Yep.
Or it's in a sense where that you're almost trying to replicate intelligence as a data set.
Yep.
In order for the LLM to be able to code in the way that you want it to code.
Yep.
Right. But isn't there a possibility where an LLM can code in a better way than you? It could be recursive and come to better design than a human?
I think it's possible on a short-term basis.
What do you mean?
If I need it to give me a page of code that does something very clever, but in something manageable, this long, say, 50 lines, that's doable.
Okay. Oh, but yeah, so you're thinking for larger scale projects, like.
But when I've like 15 files of these, and they all talk to each other, that gets complicated.
But you saw the video of the guy, like, for example, coding Flappy Bird from scratch, right? Using the ChatGPT.
Not aware.
Okay, you should watch it. You watch it. So he's like a very experienced software engineer. So he knows how to prompt or what to fix. But he basically recreated the game just only using ChatGPT code. Right, which that seems pretty complex.
Does he make correction?
I think so. Like very minor, but like I think he prompts for ChatGPT to make the corrections. I think so. I'll have to rewatch, but like.
Right.
But essentially, say like even if you did 70% of it to make a game from scratch is quite good. Like it was like within a few hours or something like that. Right. So I think it's possible, right?
Yep. No, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Though that's not what we do.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's not the difference between making a game and making a web service.
Yeah.
It's that it's like we're doing gardening on a
your
daily basis, right?
Yeah, your last one, yeah.
So okay, we're working on something that is complex already.
Yeah.
So okay, then what do you? We're not trying to have new code. We're trying to do something slightly different. So okay, what kind of prompt is necessary? I don't know.
It's like learning a new language almost, right?
Maybe.
It's like prompt engineering. It's a prompt engineering for the specifics of coding. It's like learning something else, I guess.
If I'm tasked to make a game from scratch, probably know how to approach this.
Yeah.
Say I make Tetris from scratch.
Yeah.
What would I tell an LLM?
Yeah.
I probably have some idea.
Yeah.
But
you have experience in game design too, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, but if I have an existing code base that runs Tetris, now I want a different rule, a new game mechanic, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
How do I even start to approach this? With ChatGPT, what I tell it. So I'll maybe okay.
You have to input the existing game, but then you just ask it to include this new mechanic with what parameters, no?
Right, but it's your whole game is a repo of many files.
Yeah.
So
but that's just a matter of how much API access you have, right? Like how much data you're paying for. Unless the data doesn't exist in the LLM, it can't spit out the answer, but I think it can. Oh, I don't know limits. I really don't know. I don't know. I'm like a complete pleb about all this. So yeah.
So my point is, I'm not sure how to approach if it's possible.
Maybe an experiment for next time.
Yeah. So
is there anything else you're looking at with this new technology of AI and ChatGPT? LLMs.
I'm right now. I'm trying to master it.
Okay.
And I worry about losing out if I don't. So
interesting.
So and I find a lot of people somewhat don't pay enough attention to how this impacts them. Yeah.
And your main concerns are?
A lot of people are more complacent than they deserve to be.
So do you feel alignment is a bigger issue, and that's not?
No, that's not about safety.
Okay.
I'm talking about their career, how it impacts their work.
Okay.
So, they could, a lot of people could very well be replaced and be surprised that they do.
Any areas you think where that happens fastest, or because I mean a lot of media has been discussing this, right? So
yeah.
What do you think? Like what area?
Hard to say. I can confidently speak to my profession. That a lot of the simple code monkey stuff are it's easily solved. So what are the values that you as say a young graduate coder, what should you be good at when codes can be generated? And right now at this moment, the writers in Hollywood, rightfully, they're worried about it. So who knows? Maybe next one are lawyers.
Okay. These are the ones that I think people are talking about most. Yeah, it's true.
And I probably didn't bring this up. I had this intention maybe a year or two ago of writing a novel.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't follow through.
Why not?
Because of this.
But it shouldn't affect it, right?
Because it sounds counterintuitive. So now ChatGPT comes around, it makes it easier for you to write a novel.
Okay.
You think I'm more motivated to do it, but my thinking is like, it's easy for so many people. There'll be so many more these things that they'll make whatever I can produce will be subpar.
I still think it follows power laws. Like even if you were to make it before ChatGPT, it's still going to be about how good the idea is, and that depends on you as a person and your exposure or your mindset or what or how you interact in this world.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it's going to be tough. So so I mean, we all like to think we're special, but ultimately, it's harder to make really great pieces of work that resonate across the board.
True.
So I think that still won't go away. It's just that more people have access to it, and we'll find maybe more hidden gems that people who can contribute to that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Maybe. Yeah.
But my point is, there'll be more junks out there.
Yeah. There's a lot more noise that comes with this too.
Yeah.
But don't you think with like any new technology, of course there always comes with noise, but shouldn't there be some countering part of the technology that someone focuses to develop that counters that bad element? Right? Because everyone's afraid of more misinformation. They're afraid of like just everything getting out of control. Like we don't know what the truth is anymore, or there's too much junk of content being created. Shouldn't there just be the counter in technology too, where technology could solve that too?
If there is, then what does it mean?
It means we're just net zero. We're back. It's not as bad as everyone thinks, right? It's just a new world we live in, and it's just maybe different rules that change a little bit, but ultimately it's just like, yeah, there's good and there's bad, but like ultimately it's not as bad as we probably thought. That would be my hope. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because everyone tends to focus on just one aspect of it, but I think, like with every new technology, there's going to be some hackers who exploit something, right? But then there's going to be some white hacker to help solve it.
Sure.
Right?
Sure,
So the technology moves along, right?
Yeah. No, as far as literature is concerned, I'm not saying it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
From a personal perspective, my approach is now to sit back, observe, wait for the dust to settle.
Well, I think if you inherently get value out of the exercise and it's become easier, just do it anyway. Because like, what's the goal at the end of the day? Right? It's more like you expressing this, this piece of work as a medium that expresses you. Right? So why not just engage in it?
Yeah.
But if you feel like there's no inherent value in it, then never mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're saying as a mode of expression, this is just fine.
Yeah. You should just build the story that you want to build.
True.
Whether it's good or bad, but if you start hating the process, then just trash it. Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you want to chat about, or you good?
I'm good.
We went for 2 hours, man.
We suffered the temperature.
Heat. Yeah, we did it. Wow, but I was locked in. It was very good conversation.
I agree.
Thank you for coming today. Appreciate your time always.
I appreciate it.
All right, I'll get you a cool drink after this. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.